guiding you to become the hero of your own story. This is the Journey Principles Radio Show, where you are the warrior and we are your weapon. Now, here are your hosts, Josh Bledsoe and Master Life Strategist, Stephen Scoggins.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Journey Principles Radio Show. We're broadcasting to you live from that beautiful city of Oaks, Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm your host, Josh Bledsoe, and today I'm joined by both the seed planter and the seed cultivator. We'll call it the seed cultivator.
Oh, wow.
Actually, Karen Gilliam is Stephen's coach, one of his coaches and mentors that he goes to not often, but when he absolutely needs it, which is just fantastic for me to be around because Stephen is one of my mentors, one of my coaches, and then to get around someone who's coached and mentored him, it's kind of like you see where the water falls from, you know?
Yeah.
You kind of see it. You can see the water at the bottom of the valley.
This is my golf swing coach.
You don't even play golf.
Yeah, right.
Try to get him to play golf. Anyways, we're getting off topic here, but today we're talking all about how do you know that you're in the right profession. This being the Professional Pillar Month, we're talking all things profession, whether that's career, that's job, there's volunteering. There's a lot that goes into profession. And Karen leads the way when it comes to making sure that you're in the right profession through her empowerment coaching. She does a lot of leadership empowerment coaching for women specifically. However, when she gets into the corporate environment and she does a corporate training piece, there is no gender biases in there, right?
Nope.
And I can tell you from personal experiences, you're not just talking about only women things. I know that. Whenever I've seen you speak, I've watched your videos, I've been keeping up with you on social media, it's all empowering for all genders, all good stuff. So welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me, Josh, and always good to see Stephen. So I'm excited.
We are excited to dive into this with you. So your background, your husband was 23 years in the military, is that correct? Did I get that right?
Total 34.
Total 34. I'm from
Active
Tennessee.
duty.
Numbers are hard.
Active duty
Words
and
are hard
guard.
too. Words are really hard too.
So we've already learned that your profession may not be accounting. then.
No,
Is that what you're
No.
saying?
not a math.
Don't hire me to be your CFO. Unless you want that to be Chief Funny Officer. So, active duty military, you got a lot of background with that, but then something hits you along the way and you realize that you were not in the right job, J.O.B. as you like to call it. I want to talk about that. Let's start there. Let's start where it all began.
Oh, wow. Well, I have over 35 years in corporate America, and I started in education. I did different careers in education, and I stayed with the little ones at first because they were non-threatening.
Okay.
That's
See,
scary.
Yeah.
I didn't have any confidence. I was so shy when I first entered corporate America, I couldn't lead silent prayer. That's pretty bad. But that
I can't either because I talk too much.
well, yeah, silent prayer nobody talks. But I lacked confidence.
Okay.
And so once someone said these words to me that really pierced my soul, she said, "Allow me to believe in you until you believe in yourself."
Okay. So she said, give me the permission to believe in you until you can get there yourself. That's powerful.
Yes.
What did that do for you?
Well, it first sort of scared me because she kept telling me things that she could see as a possibility. No, she wasn't psychic,
Yeah.
but she could see potential in me of things that she thought I could do. And everything she said, I denied. And oh, no. And one of them was, you're going to be speaking to masses of people.
As a shy person, she told you that.
Yes, that's why I laughed.
I'm sure that landed on completely open and accepting ears, didn't it?
No, I laughed.
Not really.
I laughed. But now, as I look back, I've been paying it forward
Yeah.
ever since.
Maybe she should have been a psychic because she's right. You're speaking in front of the masses now.
I do. I do. So, and this thing about a job I'm passionate about
Yeah.
to the point that I'm tired of people working J.O.B's, Journey of the Broke.
Journey of the broke.
Yes.
That stings a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure.
Now, I'm not just talking finances now, Josh.
Yeah.
People do live paycheck to paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm talking about is they're living and they're broken mentally, psychologically, sometimes even physically. They are actually performing work that they were never designed to do.
That's heavy. That's heavy right there.
How many people are actually working things just because it was spoken over them? We talked about this on an earlier show not long ago, talking about how your parents can influence you.
Yep.
God may have made you to be an artist, but yet you're at a law firm.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
he may have made you to be a lawyer, but yet you're trying to paint for a living because your parents were painters.
Right.
I mean, how many times I wonder how many times in all your dealings with people that you ran across and worked with, how many of them have been influenced to be in the position they're in rather than have a position they've chosen?
I would say it's over 50%.
Over 50% of the people that you come across are saying, that's me. I'm working at J.O.B.
Yeah.
And not really because I want to.
Right. It's because they followed the path. They went to college. They chose a major based on someone in their family.
Yeah.
And they struggled. And they're still struggling. See, we were never designed to job.
That's right.
We weren't designed to job. We were designed to work.
Yeah.
You have to work.
To do work. Yeah.
Yes. But why not do the work based on the strengths and talents and gifts God is giving you?
That's right.
Yeah, if you got to work hard at your purpose.
Yeah.
That's right.
You know what I'd like to
Absolutely.
do? I'd like to find the person that came up with the path of get good grades in school, graduate school. Go to college, graduate college. Get good job, gold watch, and die.
Oh, please.
I've heard that so many times, but I want to find the joker that started that and kick him in the shin.
I believe his name was King something or other.
King.
King Louis or one of those
Wow.
guys.
King
It's been ongoing long before the Mayflower ever hit.
King
the United
Looney is
States.
what it should be, because I've heard so many
Yeah.
successful people talk about the very opposite thing.
Well, if you
Right.
think about it, historically, most people went into an apprenticeship immediately out of essentially grade school back in the 15 and 1600s. And because of that, they only learned one trade. Very seldom did someone step out like a Ben Franklin, for example, or Michelangelo.
Yeah.
These guys stepped out of their chosen apprenticeship and went into something they were passionate about. And lo and behold, they became world changers.
That's
big
it.
impacts.
So in order to
That's
break
it.
the system,
Yeah.
you're going to have
Yes.
to open your mind to new possibilities.
Right.
Which is what you help people do.
Absolutely. Finding your passion, which is, I'm sorry to say this, ludicrous. You don't have to find your passion.
Yeah.
Your passion is already within
I
you.
agree.
You already got
100%.
it. You already got it.
It's what you
That's so
do
good.
with the least amount of effort. If I were to see you any time of day or night, what would you be doing?
That's right.
Well, nighttime I'm sleeping. Sometimes. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I know where you're going with
I
this.
know.
So that is a cliche
Yeah.
statement that is so overused now as find your passion. Like, yes, I'm going to put on the Quester's hat. I'm going to go find my passion. What are you talking about there? It's already inside of us, though,
That's
right?
right.
All right, so how does someone dig it out?
Ah.
How do they get to it?
Well, first of all, you have to know what it is that you do with the least amount of effort.
Okay.
So let's say we have somebody watching that they are very good at mechanics. They love to put things together. They love to take
Yeah.
things apart, but they're not doing it when it comes to a career.
Something they're doing with the majority of their day.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
They hate the job, but they love when they're not on the job and they get to do their passion. Why not take the passion and make it your job or career?
That sounds nice. Very nice.
She's talking about my life.
She's talking about
Yeah, I mean, when I started my first construction company, I started it to eat, for necessity. However, I very quickly uncovered I had a gift and a desire to teach, inspire, and educate. Lo and behold, after enough practice, enough reps, enough God-given responsibility of stewardship, the steward what I already had, he gave me the opportunity to create the Journey Principles.
Yep.
which is
Right.
all about helping people
Yes.
kind of uncover, get unstuck, and kind of move on with their thing.
Absolutely.
But I had lots of practice along the way, people with all kinds of issues and problems, and it happens just as much in your personal life, if not more, in your occupational life.
Really?
Yeah.
That's where all your baggage a lot of times will surface. It either surfaces there or in your relationships, your personal relationships. Those two places, for whatever reason, more than anywhere else, for whatever reason, tend to bring your things to the surface.
Right.
It really does.
You know, so while we started putting on siding as being the main thing, what we did was not as important as why I was doing what I was doing.
That's it. The why.
Okay.
right.
All right. So it brings
The
out the why.
So that's the next step.
I can hear the questions coming from people now. All right. Now, I'm passionate about this. It's not so easy for me to change my job, my daily thing that I do to pay my bills.
Mm-hmm.
What do I need to do to get there?
What is your why?
Yeah.
Why do you want to do the very thing that you're passionate about in order to make a living?
Yeah.
And when you identify the why, and I keep saying, keep asking yourself why until it literally makes you cry.
Go back to being a 2-year-old and ask yourself why over and over again.
Yeah.
And
Why do you want to do whatever?
and until it bubbles up.
Until you get to the point. Because money should never be the determining factor.
That's a bad motivator.
It
Yeah.
is.
Can you imagine if some of the most gifted teachers on the planet were only focused on money? What kind of deficiency we'd have in this world?
Right.
I got a chance
Scary.
recently to speak to a lot of teachers at an education conference, and one thing that I was trying to relay to them was the impact one teacher had on my life, and how it kept me from giving up at some pretty important times in my life.
Yes.
You know, I side with you on your why. You know, understanding what your why is, what motivates you, what brings tears to your eyes, what brings joy to your spirit.
Yes.
What would you do for free?
That's
a
it.
lot of time your passion is hidden there. What would you do for free if you could every day?
Yes.
And then if you can figure out a couple occupations that kind of go with it, list out 4 or 5 things, you know, that kind of bring that expression of emotion to your spirit.
Right.
List those things, and I guarantee you could probably tie 3 or 4, even 5 of them together to come up with an occupation that really suits who
Yeah.
you are and what you're made for.
Absolutely. That's why I say the why, once you discover the why, the what will have more impact.
And the what will actually come easier, in my opinion.
That's right. And the
Feels
money
easier.
will come. But that is not your main focus.
Yeah.
I say like for teachers, because I was in education, teachers, that's a paycheck of the heart. They
I
do
like that.
not do it
such a good
for the
statement.
money.
Of the
Such
heart.
a good
I love
statement.
that.
But to this day, I still remember the teachers that had the influence and impact on my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was telling the teachers, the educators at the conference that the greatest thing that they have is the ability to do something that most people don't have to do, and that is change the mind.
That's right.
Yeah.
Change the mind, change the
Yes.
perception, change the understanding, change the set of wisdom, change the core belief systems.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, a teacher, just going back into professions that matter, you know, it's one of those situations where the people, I am a result of what I've been taught. And what I've chosen to learn. You know, so as you know, if you don't mind, one of the couple things thoughts as I've been listening to you talk have come to mind, which always happens when I'm around Mama G, because I'm just like, right?
I see you
Yeah,
just got a bunch of
there-
notes over there.
whoops.
Oh,
Well, I can't read it to you. I'm going to get off my chair.
Might need to hit you a different piece of paper.
That's what happens when you do the live show, right?
that's right.
You know, a couple things that I wrote down, and we use terminology called explore and discovery quite a bit because it removes a certain amount of weight off your life. It removes the guilt, the shame, the risk, the threat, the fear.
Yes.
You know, and fear is really what holds us back from really, I believe, discovering the passion that's already inside of us. So here's some things that I jotted down while I was listening to you talk.
Okay.
One, discover what comes easy and natural. What comes easy to you? Are you fantastic at football? Fantastic. I'm not. Right? I'm pretty good at entrepreneurship for whatever reason. God's gifted me there, right?
Right.
What brings you repetitive joy? Not just sporadic joy, like I enjoy doing it this one time, But if I go and do this day after day after day in my joy field, and this is something that I enjoy.
Does it get you jazzed up?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
What brings commitment? What makes me committing to that procedure easier?
Okay.
Right?
So
You're not going to
commitment
commit to
doesn't feel like a
something you don't care
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What brings contribution? How can what I bring to the table contribute to the
Yes.
betterment of others?
Yes.
Right? What can I leverage within myself to make my dreams and passions a reality?
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, all of these are things
Wow.
that I think are pivotal in discovering who this profession is, you know, and what that profession is. People, I think, sometimes will get lost because they actually enjoy their hobby more than they enjoy the profession.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Occasionally, you can reverse those,
Yes.
you know. At the same time, I believe the human spirit is built in such a way that it must express its contribution muscle.
Yes.
Yeah.
I really believe that.
Yeah. It
And
really does.
Mama G, you've probably taught me that better than anybody else. So,
Well, it's ironic that you mentioned the contribution. I have 3 adult children, and I like to say they're grown and gone. But our second son, Kevin, went in the military. Didn't really fulfill the mission of the military, but he was able to use his passion of basketball while he was in the military, to the point that he played basketball for the Air Force.
Wow.
Then he learned a lot of things, but decided that the passion was strong enough that he decided to go part-time with the military and pursue the passion of basketball. So today, he is now coaching a high school J.O.B. basketball team and pursuing his passion.
Surrounded by his passion every day.
Yes.
Good for him.
And we all 3 of our children heard about pursue your passion. If it was the military,
Yeah.
can you support the mission?
Yeah.
And if you cannot support the mission, you know, and I'll be honest with you, some people, when it comes to the military, choose the military because of the uniform. The uniform will not sustain you for 20 years.
It does not. I used to tell my airmen that all the time when it comes to physical fitness or things that they were going through, and they thought that the answer was, well, I just need to get out of the military. I need to get out of this thing. Like, hey, you take that uniform, you're still the same person.
Right.
You're not going to take your skin off, are you?
Right.
No.
Yeah.
So let's talk about working on the things that you really want to get to. That uniform has got nothing to do with it. It's a piece of clothing.
But you can take your talents, your strengths, and your gifts and use it and contribute.
Yeah.
I firmly believe
the
that, and I jotted this down. I was listening to y'all guys talk, so this is brand new, so hopefully it'll
All right.
resonate with you. Passion-driven professions create opportunity for others.
Wow.
You'll know when you're operating in your passion, your purpose, and your calling. I like to call it the calling because that's how I see it.
That's
Yeah.
right.
I was called
That's right.
to what I'm doing. In other words, it kept beckoning me. You must come this way. You were created for this, right?
Yes.
All of the professions that I've dealt with passionately and had the commitment, had the joy, had all the things we discussed about a few minutes ago, all of those created opportunities for others.
That's
I
it.
firmly believe that we were created in order to bless and serve those around us on a regular basis. So what comes to your mind, what comes to your heart right now in this moment as we're talking? Because
right.
I guarantee it's popping off in your head.
Somebody's
Yeah.
already thinking about it right
Yeah,
now.
somebody's
yeah.
already thinking about it right now. What would you do for free right now, and how could you add value to the world?
That's
All right,
Yeah.
Stephen, you said that. And in this book, which is the book that actually transitioned me to my position, it's called Caught Between a Dream and a Job.
Oh, wow.
Yep. And Delatoro McNeil, you know, I have met him now.
I can tell you've read this. I mean, it's quite.
There's a few highlighters in there.
It's quite explored. We'll call it
But
that.
it's interesting because I think on the very first page, he says we were created to be creators.
That's right.
So what you just
Humans
said,
enhancing other humans.
yes, and it was him that I'd heard that we were never designed to job.
That's right.
Yeah.
We were designed to work.
That's a big
Everybody
difference
that's ever
right
been
there.
created by God has a purpose.
It's a big difference between
Absolutely.
it. Okay, so we've talked about, instead of finding your passion, you said pursue your passion.
Pursue your
You
passion.
taught your kids pursue your passion.
Yes, you don't have to find it.
I want people to understand the difference in those two words.
Yes,
Instead of actually seeking out this new thing that's outside of them, to this discovery, you're talking about pursuing something that's already inside of you.
yes.
Okay, now, if that's me, I don't know my passion exactly yet. I know some things I like to do. I might be able to jot down some things I would do for free.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't even know what I'm good at. I don't even know what value I can bring to the game. How do I figure that out?
So that's the next step.
Okay.
After you get past the why, you now need to know what your gifts, your talents, and your strengths are. So I'm
Gifts,
going to make a
talents, and
record.
strengths. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to make a recommendation for those, and these happen to be things that I teach. Gifts. The great place to start would be spiritual gifts,
Okay.
because
Spiritual
God
gifts.
has already,
Something we're already equipped with.
has equipped you.
Okay.
Now, talent is what maybe you, like, the first thing comes to mind is an instrument or a piano.
Sure.
What did you practice and practice and you became,
Yeah.
you went from a novice to an expert. Strength. I use a book called The Strength Finder 2.0.
Okay.
Tom Rath is the author.
Got it.
There are 34 different strengths.
Uh-huh.
And based on an assessment that you take, it will identify what your strengths are.
Okay.
And it will give you a printout of what profession would probably be best for you to use those.
Okay. So based
Strengths.
on Tom Rath's algorithm, or whoever's algorithm that worked with him on the book and stuff, you can find out a guide and direction of where you might need to go based on your strengths.
Yes.
Okay. So what about the other two? How do we find the spiritual gifts? Where do folks go to find that?
Spiritual gift, I believe there's a free assessment online.
Okay.
If you do spiritual gifts,
Just Google it.
yeah,
Okay.
just Google it like everything else.
Everything else.
Google.
And talent is basically what did you go from a novice
Okay.
to an expert
Okay.
because of practice and utilizing it.
I want to
Yeah.
Over
go
and
back
over
and touch on a word that just resonated with me quite a bit.
Okay.
I just got in trouble for texting while we were on air. However, I wasn't texting, I was Googling.
Big difference.
However, our production department let me know that I was texting by texting me, which is funny. No, in all essence, so we mentioned the word pursue. So I went ahead and said, what does pursue mean? And here are some of the words that come after pursue, that are adjectives of pursue.
Okay.
To run after, to persist, to search for, to yearn for, to track down, scout out, and even stalk.
Don't stalk anybody.
No, don't, please don't.
Don't stalk people, but do stalk your passion.
Stalk your passion.
Yes, absolutely.
Find that joker.
Yeah.
Stalk yourself. No,
Yeah.
no one else.
Little weird.
That's exactly it, though. I mean,
That's
we're
it.
talking about actually running after something that's already inside of you. What you're doing, Karen, right now, I can already feel it, because I can feel it inside myself. Other people are out there thinking and feeling the same way. Of you're bringing it up to the surface,
Yes.
which I know you do at your events, your empowerment
Yes.
events. That's why they call it empowerment. It's not
Right.
you're not handing them the answers. You're not
No.
handing them solutions. You're empowering them to find it themselves, right?
Right. And I do ask questions to help them find
Okay.
the answers themselves rather than me give them the answer.
Okay.
That's what's known as a great guide.
Can you ask some of those questions now? Can we get a sneak peek, or do we need to buy a ticket to it?
Well, okay, you mentioned pursuing.
Yeah.
What does pursuit or pursuing look like for you?
Okay.
They're open-ended questions where you have to think and you have to give me information. Based on your information, I come up with other questions
Okay.
to ask. And we keep asking until you feel that. And the question I usually say is, so from based on what you've just shared with me, and I reiterate what they say, if I were to see you, say week, month, or year from now, what is it that you would be pursuing?
Hold them accountable to it.
Absolutely.
I like that. I like that.
Accountability.
It's scary, but it also is good too because
Oh,
no one
yes.
holds us accountable anymore.
Yeah.
No.
Unfortunately.
And the way the human brain's wired, the deeper the question or the richer the question, the better the answer.
Yeah.
You know, we've talked about this before. People that will unfortunately self-sabotage or talk negatively about themselves on a regular basis. It's the question that they're asking themselves on a regular basis. Why do I stink? Why do I suck? How come someone doesn't like me or love me or whatever the case may
Right.
be? And what Mama G does so well is when she is working with people, whether it's from the stage or one-on-one, I've seen her do it both ways.
Yeah.
No matter what it always comes across as, what is it? It's a constructive depth search,
Yes.
right? It's taking a quick scuba diving trip into your soul,
Yeah.
right? And what it does is it begins to train the brain to ask better questions. That's why you see so many people that achieve various levels of transformation continue on, and then also they find it incredibly easier to help others do the same.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we actually have someone like that in the house today.
That's right.
Yeah, he experienced some transformation at Transform You Live
Yep.
recently, and we've been kind of keep in touch with him and talking through Facebook messaging.
Yep,
or
he joined
phone
us on the
call.
live coaching today, so
He
that's
was
kind
on,
of cool.
yeah, he was
Yeah.
on the live coaching with you today. You want to trade spots with him now?
Yeah, absolutely. Mark
Let's
Green,
bring
come
Mark
on up,
Green.
buddy.
Come on, buddy.
Yeah.
Can you insert like a clapping noise in Facebook Live? Like put one of those like little emojis up there. He's gonna be a little slow, but
handicap ramp?
you need a handicap ramp to go here. He did have some issues with his ankle in the surgery. Thanks, buddy. All right, so Mark, what we're going to do is we're going to transition real quickly and kind of just describe a little bit about who you are, if that's okay if I do that.
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Mark is a single guy. He loves long walks on the beach. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I do, actually. When I can walk, that's not funny.
When you get, sorry, too soon. Mark here, he's a good friend of ours. He actually joined us at Transform You Live in April, and still a member of the military and the National Guard. But he did not come to Transform You Live as a military member. No one does. You kind of leave the profession and all the titles that you have in the parking lot, because when you come into Transform You Live, you're who God made you to be.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
At that moment. So in 3 days, Mark here, who had a sweet stash back then, you should totally bring it back.
Oh.
No shave November?
No.
Okay.
No. I've actually I pulled up a picture and it scared me.
Get that caterpillar off my face.
Wow.
Mark here had the reason that we've invited Mark out, and he had a coaching session with Stephen earlier today, and we said, hey man, just hang on out with us, and we want to talk to you on the radio a little bit, is because he's the evidence of someone who's actually taken the information, so like someone that may have attended your event and taken the information and they've applied it. That's some of the most exciting stuff you can see, is when someone actually takes your information, they apply it, and you see real life change. Exactly.
Implementation.
Right.
Absolutely.
So, Mark, tell us a little bit about who you were before the event and a little bit afterwards.
Oh man, where to begin? So about 29 years ago, my parents met, and before the event, I was sitting over there trying to figure out where to start. It really comes down to I had no direction. I was lost. And I think I could even touch back to when I first met y'all about a month prior to that.
Yeah, shortly before that.
Yeah, it was Warrior Reset. And, I was sitting, I met you and Stephen, and I had the opportunity to pull Stephen aside. And we were sitting there, and I was reaping some of his wisdom, and my mind is just a storm. A lot of questions that I don't even know. I can't even grasp at any of those questions.
They do that. Like, he and Karen both do that a lot. And, it makes me feel like I'm this big, but then somehow she'll put like those pumps for basketball stuff. Somehow she inserts that into my ears. Gets me back going again.
Look, I'm sitting there looking at this man I just met.
Yeah.
I've seen him talk. He's got knowledge.
Yeah.
It's there.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to ask him.
Yeah.
And he looks at
Don't
me
know where to start.
and he asks one question, and something snapped, and it all settled. And he goes, "What's on your heart?"
Wow.
And I instantly knew what I needed to say, and he went with that
Yeah.
and started to mold.
Yeah.
And that was what sort of pulled me out and set me up. We were talking earlier, timing's everything, and set me up for Transform You Live. And I really got the direction I needed at that point.
Yeah.
Use the tools that I had to sort of figure out some things. I'm in a transitional phase where there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of uncertainties.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. But I've gained a lot of confidence in not worrying about that because it doesn't matter. I know who I am now. I have confidence in myself, and at the end of the day, that's what really matters.
Yay.
Yeah, good for you,
Wow.
buddy. So Mark was, like he said, kind of lost, kind of without direction before the event, and during the event, you've seen the playbook, which she will be at the next Transform You Live, ladies and gentlemen. So if anything, when we announce the next Transform You Live, if you need to come for anything, it's to see her speak. The only reason she was not there is because she is so busy and sought out for all across the country. She's going to talk about that in a little bit later, like how busy she's been. But next year, I'm going to like tie her publicist or someone to a pole so they can't book anything for at least that time when we have Transform You Live again, so she's there.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
So he was in a transition period, still sort of in a transition period for profession, right? Trying to figure out what he wants to do when he grows up. Or we say that kind of jokingly all the time, but it's like, all right,
But it's true.
what's the next step, right? He did find out a lot about himself at Transform You Live. He did have some breakthrough and transformation, but I'd like to give you the platform here and see what you got. Let's see some help here. You know, he has a big heart for people, and Steve and I both believe that the world needs more love from Mark. But if he was at your event and you only had 5 minutes with him, what would you do with that time?
All right. So Mark, I've heard about you and I've been watching you. The question I have for you is, if you were to choose any area of your life right now, spiritual, personal, career, financial, relationship, health and wellness, or legacy, which area are you experiencing the most pain?
Oh man, that's a tough one. A while ago, it would have been relationship, which I feel actually would have tied into spiritual. At this point, I feel all-encompassing it would be legacy, because I'm starting to realize that I need to know who I am. I want to know my future. What am I leaving behind? What makes me happy? And what makes me happy is making other people happy. So what can I do for the world, regardless of who I'm with? Because at the end of the day, I'm the only one I have to live with for the rest of my life.
All right. So what does legacy, and I think you said it,
Good answer.
what does legacy mean to you?
Legacy means to me who's going to be at my funeral, who's going to remember me. I've for the longest time not had the strongest relationships. To compare, I've been going through a lot of medical. I've had 4 reconstruction surgeries on my feet. The first of which I had 2 people visit me in the hospital. One of which was my fiance at the time, and the other was my father. Both of which were very valuable to me. And I did not wish for anybody else. I did not go, man, I wish I had more people. I was content. I lost that relationship and, started to wonder, how I was going to get through the next couple surgeries. Because I did not want to be alone. I don't believe anybody's meant to be alone. It's not why we're here on this earth. So it was astounding to me when, after Transforming Live, I started to see changes in myself, and by the 4th surgery, I had so many visitors that the nurses started telling me they were going to start charging me. There wasn't a day that I did not have visitors, multiple people. So to me, legacy is not even, you have people who are talked about through history. You got Alexander the Great, you have Socrates, you have all these people who have done something so amazing that it stands the test of time. For me, it simply means, who was I a good enough person to that I meant something? At the end of the day, if that means I was a good father, that I was good enough to my future family, that's all the legacy I need, but it means that I was good enough to somebody.
So based on what you're sharing with me, Mark, looks like your relationships are tied into your legacy.
Absolutely. I feel that it's all about the people you surround yourself with. For me, I do value what other people think. And I feel that I've always been able to, I say always, I feel that I can tell what type of person I am by the people I surround myself with. Like I said, recently I've been able to realize that I'm not as bad of a person as I thought I was. I've made wonderful friends. Josh is more than a guy that's Journey Principles for me. He continues to reach out. We've stayed in touch. We still have to have dinner.
Yeah, we got to eat at some point.
Yeah. But I can't be that bad of a person if I have people who I consider to be wonderful people who want me in their life, who continue to reach out and go, hey, how are you? So to me, yes, that is very much tied together.
Well, for you to take this from this moment on, I'm going to leave you with this final question, and you don't have to answer it right now. What is it costing you not to have the relationship in order to leave the legacy you want? See, all of us understand cost. And if you ever think about what is it costing you, then once you realize it's costing you a lot, you'll do something about it.
I like that.
So that's my last question to you.
That is so, so good.
Thank you so much.
We could totally end it right there with that mic dropping question. Woo!
What is it costing you? And for those of you that are watching, what is it costing you to not pursue your passion and stop working a J.O.B.?
That's a good question to ask.
Because it's costing you something.
It is costing you something.
Oh,
Yeah.
and then the follow-up question,
There's more.
are you willing to pay the price?
Ouch.
Are you willing to pay the price?
That's a strong, bold statement and question, really, to bring people really to reality, because we're talking about their real lives here. We're not talking about just a 9-to-5 job, something that they can pay the bills for, make sure their Netflix account stays open. We're talking about people's real lives. We're talking about
Lives.
health.
Absolutely.
We're talking about relationships.
Absolutely.
You're talking about mental health
Yes.
and spirituality. We could go through all 8 pillars
Yeah.
and see how that question you just asked touch on all of them.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
Oh,
That was
my pleasure.
fantastic. So we've already talked a little bit about finding your passion. Really should be rephrased to pursuing your passion.
absolutely.
Okay. Determining your strengths, your gifts, and your talents through those tools you gave us. Thank you for
Yes.
that. Thanks for bringing those in. So what do I do with this information now? I've learned my talents. I've learned my strengths. I know what I'm passionate about. I want to put all this into a magical Disneyland pot and stir it up a little bit and then drink from it.
Right.
What do I need to do? You like how I went over here like a childish cartoon on that? what do I need to do with all that information now that I got it? What's the next
You
step?
need to be held accountable.
Held accountable, okay.
So that means you need to tie yourself into Transform You.
That is true, that's true.
Find a mentor.
We do have fun at those things.
Oh, don't we though?
Find a mentor or coach.
Yes.
Someone, my definition of a mentor is someone who lives to make sure your dreams come true.
Okay, and those are not easy to come by, right? There's a lot of
You've got to
folks-
be very careful.
Yes.
Yes.
There's a lot of people out there that they might call themselves a coach, and they might pursue it for sort of the right reasons. But in the end of it, it's more for personal gain, right? Unfortunately, we see that too much.
Yeah.
What type of person should they be looking for?
You need to look at the person and realize, first of all, that since we are faith-based, are they living for God? What is their spirituality like? Do they have the confidence? See, I'm not interested in their following.
Yeah, doesn't matter how many people are following her
No.
on Twitter.
I need to know you have reproduced people to be who God has designed them to be.
There it goes again. Humans enhancing humans.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. And
So-
you mentioned earlier you have to understand the mission of wherever you're working at, you're doing work at, right? We can relate to it being military guys. We have a mission.
Right.
It's the same thing in the civilian world. You have to understand the mission.
Yep.
And then you have to tie yourself to the mission.
Yes.
Now, I've seen you talk about this mission statement before. And we've actually had a conversation before. And it challenged me to come up with my own mission statement.
Good.
So I don't have it.
He knew I was going to ask that.
Yeah,
He
I knew
knew.
she was going to ask that. And I totally
I saw how you did that.
Yeah. But I'm going to own up to it. I didn't do it. Like, that was actually one of our conversations at the end of it. You challenged me to come up with a mission statement, and I was all gung-ho about it, and then we hung up, and I was scared to death about coming up with my own mission statement.
Well, I'm going to
And
tell
I
you.
was one of those
Right
folks
back
that did not do it, did not pursue it.
Well,
So let's restart. Let's redo
and
this.
I, as a coach, should have followed up with you. So forgive me for not doing that.
See what she did there? She took it all back on hers.
That's what
that
leaders
right
do.
there.
See, now I
is-
just feel bad I didn't
That's
do
what
it. I feel
leaders
like I let
do.
Mama down.
That's disappointing.
But to write your own personal mission statement, your personal mission statement should be who you are, what you do, who you do it for, and why.
You got that?
Who you are, what you do, who you do it for,
Who you are, what you do,
who you do it for,
who you do it for,
and why.
and why.
It should be your personal mission statement that wakes you up in the morning, not the alarm clock.
I wish it was. I hate my alarm clock. I really do.
I like that.
That's good. I'm going to steal that from you later. Is that okay?
No, absolutely.
So, for over 25 years, my personal mission statement has been to encourage, empower, and inspire people to achieve excellence in every area of their life and realize their God-given potential, to help them design their life and not live by default.
That is so good.
That's fantastic.
That's
Just
what I
get
do.
that.
No, we can't do that, unfortunately. I don't think we're
You don't know how many times
Yeah.
people ask me, can I just take yours?
Can I just take your... Well, no, we can't, because then we can't own up to it.
Yeah.
Duh.
Or live up to
Or
it.
support
I'm
it.
not feeling those stilettos. You killing me?
I-
I'm not doing that.
I will say she hit on something that I feel is very important from the mentor standpoint. That from the guy who needed the directional standpoint,
Yeah.
is part of the reason why we need that is that somebody to keep you honest.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know,
Yeah.
it's seek that out more so not because poor me, I need help.
No,
you know,
right.
It's it's you need somebody. Do you go to the gym by yourself? You need somebody to help keep you on track. You need somebody to keep you honest, and
Because you'll talk yourself out of anything.
Oh,
you,
yeah.
you will.
Oh,
You will.
yeah.
And it helps build those habits and
Yes.
helps you see that from another viewpoint.
Absolutely.
And
that's
you
all
want
I-
to get around the people, make sure there's someone that has your best interest in heart, right? We're not talking about beating you across the head with,
No.
you should be doing this, why aren't you doing that? None of that stuff. It's more like the very simple analogy of, hey, I wouldn't stick that fork into the socket if I were you,
Right.
right? You're looking out for someone's best interest.
Absolutely.
Right? Is that right?
Absolutely.
That's like, is that one of the big motivating factors for the right type of coach?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
It's not about them. It's never about me
Mm,
as a coach. It's all about the person that I'm spending the time with,
that's right.
because
Absolutely.
that is critical. You're talking lives,
Yeah.
and that's a
Absolutely.
major responsibility.
Yeah.
Well, I keep forgetting about the playbook, and he keeps reminding me. You know?
See?
It's like, hey, man, before you take the field, you might want to look at the playbook and see
Right.
which plays are open.
Yeah,
That's what we
and
call the
it's-
book at Transform Your Life. It is actually a playbook because we want people to understand that you can pull it out at any time and call the plays how you want and how you see fit best for your life. It's not just it's not a book that you read from cover to back. It's something you can pick up literally whenever you need to. I'm glad you brought that up.
No, absolutely.
So your mission statement is I'm glad you shared it. I'm not glad you shared it because now I got to make one that's at least 30 words long.
Oh
Something-
my gosh.
So I'm really glad you shared it in all seriousness because
Yeah.
that is fantastic. And I know that you're living up to it because I've seen the stuff that you're doing. I've watched you. You're traveling the country right now with Amplify Her Life.
Yes.
I'm a dude and I want to go to these things. But it's mostly a women's empowerment, correct?
It's a women's empowerment conference.
What else is this thing about?
Amplify Her Life was started by my coach,
Okay.
Erica Latrice.
The ladder gets taller and taller.
I have to have a coach. I have to have someone hold me accountable to what I say I want to do. And so she brought 10 of us together, 10 women
Okay.
that she has mentored. And we are traveling the country. 2 cities already down, Austin, Texas, and Atlanta, Georgia.
All right.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
And this month will be Chicago, Illinois. Next month will be New York City. And we finish in October with Los Angeles, the city of angels.
Wow.
She doesn't do anything small.
It doesn't sound like it. She's not
I
going
mean,
to like.
I thought we'd start with a
Well,
little
town
city,
is-
you know.
Yeah. No.
You gotta set the standard. Go big or go home, right?
That's
That's
right.
it.
That's fantastic.
That's
Okay, so
So-
these are just like live events to
Yes.
empower women, almost to sort of do what you did with us today. Is that right?
Well, what we do is usually the first day
Okay.
is the evening, and it's for people that are sort of VIP.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have dinner with them, the team,
Yeah.
and it's very intimate time of fellowship and bonding.
Get to know each other some more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the next day, you hear from a few of us, featured speakers.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's also a component because we're not about just teaching you what you need to do.
Yeah.
We're not talking about you putting it to use right from the start.
Sound familiar?
So,
No.
yes.
What are you talking about?
Who do you think we
so-
learned it from?
they get to have their voice on stage.
Oh, wow.
few
So
of
you
them.
pulling them up on stage to talk about their story.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yes.
I think that's
powerful.
necessary.
It is necessary.
You know, I heard a concept this week off of a podcast that someone was doing like a TED Talks type of thing where they had professional speakers,
Uh-huh.
but then they were going around and they were actually giving the mic to people to share their story.
Yes.
There's so much power in someone's story. I was telling someone about this today. I think everyone has a unique background and story that deserves to be bragged about. But what you're telling me you're doing is you're pulling people up on stage and they're do they know that they're sharing this before they get
They
up there?
do.
Okay. You're not just like, hey, surprise.
Right. No, that there's usually they're usually voted
Okay.
from their peers and all, and
So that's
they
even,
get to be
that's
on
even
stage.
better. That's other people encouraging them to
Yes.
get up there and do that.
Yes.
That's awesome.
And you know, we don't critique them.
No.
It's you got to get that first one
Yeah.
out of the way,
Yeah. That's true.
and then you've got all of us saying, "Great,
Yeah.
good job, you did it."
Yeah.
Now you got that behind you,
Yeah.
and now go for it.
And what else do they do after that? After they've got that out of the way, that's a huge, huge burden to lift off their shoulders. Now that that's out of the other way, what do they do next?
Well, there's little games, and we did speed coaching,
Okay.
like the speed dating, but this was speed coaching.
Speed
So they
coaching,
got to
okay.
spend a few minutes with all the different coaches, and
Get different perspectives from different people. Okay.
and then there was a mastermind group.
Uh-huh.
And I'm excited to say that in a few short months,
Uh-huh.
Amplify Her Life meetup will be right here in Raleigh.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yes. So myself, along with my sister, Darlene Thorne,
Yeah.
she's also a part of the Amplify Her tour, and she lives in Garner, and we're
Fantastic.
actually going to do a meetup.
You hear that, ladies?
Yeah.
It's coming right here, Raleigh.
And we're going to set, if you're interested in being an entrepreneur, or you're in corporate America, or you're an author, or you need some direction,
Yeah.
then
Yeah, I like
we
that
want
word.
you to come.
I've seen the site. It is full of purple, but it is fantastic.
Regal,
It's Regal. Regal's it.
royalty.
It is fantastic.
Yes.
All right, so amplifyherlife.com is how they can get more
Yes.
information there.
Mhm.
How do they get more information about you? Where can they go and find Karen Gilliam and make sure they ride the skirt tails and they stay with you, because I'm on for the ride and I'm enjoying it. I'm telling people they need to go there now. How can they stay in touch with you?
Well, I am on Facebook. My business page is Karen Gilliam, and I'm all about empowerment, encouragement, and inspiration.
Yeah.
So this week, I'm going to give you the 5 C's of leadership.
5 C's of leadership. Okay.
And so those will be videos, live
All right.
videos, Facebook Live. And my website is live.
It is
And
live
so I
and going.
encourage you to go to www.karengilliam.com.
All right. Well, we're actually going to put that out there on our stuff. And if you need to know how to spell her name, just look in the feed here and you'll be able to see it. Check it out.
It's like William, but with a G.
Like William, but better with the G. Sorry, Williams, if you're out there. Go out and check her out, KarenGilliam.com. Take your vitamin C's and get the 5 C's on leadership. And thank you so much for hanging out with us today. I
Thank
told you
you.
every time I talk to you, I mean, I'm not like him. My brain's a storm right now. I've got a lot of stuff going through it.
Well, I said there's never a coincidence.
No, there's not.
This was a divine appointment for me to meet Mark today.
Oh,
That's right.
I absolutely believe this.
So
Yes,
And-
everything. You have no idea how well this worked out today.
And
Well, I'm
we are
glad.
so much better for it. Thank you. You just made our show way better. Thank you so much.
Oh, Josh, I get excited every time you guys invite me to Journey Principles. So the best is yet to come.
That's right. We'll see you guys next week on the Journey Principles Radio Show. Have a great week.